Welcome to the Small Initiative Network, where we run late. Thank you so much for sticking around. Just some life stuff that prevented me getting ready earlier. But thank you so much for being here tonight for the next little dose of Gahlia-based chaos. Before we get into the actual episode, I believe we have some announcements. Stax, you got something for me, buddy?
Yes, I do believe I do. Straight from the halls of Valhalla comes our first sponsor of the night, Norse Foundry. And today we're going to do something a little bit different.
Oh.
Because we have some awesome dice, guys. Like,
Yes.
They're amazing. And I want to tell you how many different types of dice there are that you can get at Norse Foundry. So, from the top, we have 6063 aluminum dice. They look pretty cool. Check them out. We have bone dice. I don't know if anybody has bone dice.
I want a set.
I want a set of bone dice. There is ceramic dice as well as gemstone dice, which just look amazing. Glass dice, Nimbus dice, which is just...
Can't see my face.
You can't see them. They have, technically, it counts. So they have soft dice plushies.
Yes.
It's like a D20 plushie, and you can just roll it. Anyways, that's what They have amazing. True metal dice, which is just like metallic dice. They look so sick. Wooden dice. It's like it was carved from it. Well, I guess wooden dice would be carved from a tree, but it looks like tree pieces. And last but not least, they have zinc alloy dice. So if you're trying to mix things up, trying to become one of those dragon goblin hoarder dice people, Norse Foundry can definitely boost your dice collection. So check them out in the link below and use our special code SWOLE, SWOLE, for 10% off today.
Awesome. I thought for a horrible second that you were going to list off every single friggin' set that they do.
I did too.
And I was like, oh no, we
forever,
buddy.
But that's a good thing because there's that many dice.
Yes. Thank you, Norse Foundry. Betty, what you got?
We also have friends, some more friends. They're at Nine Realms Gaming. They hand make all of their products from natural woods. We were talking about that earlier. Trees. They make quality and affordable, beautiful gaming pieces. They do custom work as well. You can use the code SWOLE10 to get 10% off of your purchase at ninerealmsgaming.com. And, you know, they've got beautiful little tower and tray sets like this. And I'm going to roll my Norse Foundry turquoise. It's 10, SWOLE 10 at at ninerealmsgaming.com. Get you 10% off.
Hard to keep up.
Today's show is brought to you by the number 10.
SWOLE 10.
Oh.
How many swoles?
We all did it. We all took it there.
You're welcome.
Who's next? Brent.
That'll be me. And I would like to give a special shout out and thank you to our next sponsor of the evening, Griffin Co. Everything you see that is 3D printed on our shows is from Griffin Co. And, you know, in the vein of everyone else talking about the different products tonight, I will have you know that in addition to 3D printed and terrain and miniatures, they also have other wonderful gifts that you can give your wonderful bearded friends. They have a beauty beard comb. They have trivets. They have cork mats. They have things you can hang on your wall. They have all kinds of wonderful things at Griffin Co. So if you go to griffinco.com and use the code SWOLE22 at checkout, you will get 22% off of your order. That'd be all.
Indeed.
That means it's me.
Yes.
That means that I talk now.
Bring us home.
You guys, I'm not going to tell you about the different products at this website. I'm just going to tell you to roll for initiative before jumping into the mosh pit with Dyson Devil Horns. Visit diceanddevilhorns.com for heavy metal tabletop gaming merch, mugs, and more that is hardcore and also really, really cute. That's not their tagline, but it should be. Use code SWOLE at checkout for 10% off your order, and be sure to follow them on Instagram for the sweet, sweet memes. That's dice, the letter N, devilhorns.com. And rock before you roll.
There it is. Yeah, so a few things. First of all, subscriptions. We do accept them. We haven't turned them off.
We would like them.
If you would like to support us financially, just know that every dollar that you put in goes back into the channel. So we actually have several things coming up, including our talk show. We have a mini painting show with a phenomenal guest that's going to be running it alongside me. And what else? Oh, we're doing a monthly Spelljammer game, guys. Ooh, that's gonna be crazy.
I just
that's gonna
can't
be awesome.
wait. I literally cannot wait.
I can't wait to get all the goodies from Griffin Co. They've already shown me all the stuff they're gonna send me, and I'm like, ooh. So yeah, so we have all that going on. So just know that it just all the subscriptions and bits and cheers and all of that stuff just goes back into the channel and helps us produce more stuff for you guys to digest. So yeah, we got that going on. If you're unable to sub or gift, then you can make Bezos pay for it with Prime subscriptions. You do have to renew those every single month because it's not that easy to spend Bezos's money, but it can be done. If you're unable to and you're just here for the hangs, then dude, thanks for hanging out. This is the most important bit, is people watching. So thank you so much for being here. What you can do, though, that doesn't cost a dime, is just rolling over to that follow button and just giving us a little boop of love on that, because it goes a long way for brand new channels like us. So we really appreciate that. Helps us get exposure and all of that. Yes, so we have that. And YouTube. Diane,
We
is in
have
charge of
one.
YouTube. Yep.
We have a YouTube. And it's awesome because you can go and watch every single episode of Fables of Gahlia right now. You can't watch this one right now because you're currently watching it. So you can't
So you can. Just not there. Just here.
It'll be there in a few days though. And in the next few weeks, I will be getting the rest of the backlog of Legends up. So then you'll be able to do the same thing with Legends. And yeah, you can subscribe to that, and that's completely free. It really helps us out on that side. That's all I got for YouTube.
Okay. And yeah, so we have new subscriber goals that we're going to put out next game. When is that? A week Monday?
Let's just give a date. Yeah, a week from Monday, which is going to be calendar the 6th.
The 6th. So from the 6th of June, we're going to be running sub giveaways again. So we will hit sub goals. Sorry, my dog is staring at me from across the room. It's very off-putting at the corner of my eye. So we will have sub goals. And once we hit each individual goal, we will unleash a giveaway for some really rad stuff. So make sure you're paying attention to those, because they will just be at random periods when it happens.
Yep.
So you got to be watching to win. There's that. And I feel like there was something else. Oh, and we'll have new subscriber features as well. Sub perks are a coming, including, well, everyone can participate in this, but we will be doing flex points, which is a special point that you can contribute your channel points to in order to activate a flex point for one of the players, possibly the DM. We didn't add those in. Maybe we should.
Oh, we totally should. Well,
I mean, with the DMs, we can do whatever we want anyway.
exactly.
But the flex point will go towards a character for that game. Characters can only get one per game. And they will be able to flex on their abilities and stretch the boundaries of action economy in order to do some really rad things. It is still up to the DM's discretion whether it happens or not, but the players can definitely ask. But this should add for some cool, flavorful moments for everyone to watch. We're super excited to get those going, as well as subscriber-only giveaways. Ooh, because that's the big stuff, the really nice expensive things. So you got to be a sub to win in those. I think that's it. There was a lot.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
we're working really hard to get things going. You know, we're a new channel, so it's going a little slower than I think we anticipated, but our real lives also have to continue on.
Yes.
So
Still need to pay the rest of the bills.
Yeah.
We're not quite that big yet.
Yeah.
So sweet. All right. So that's pretty much everything I have.
Cool.
Diane, did you have anything else? Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess let's roll that sweet, sweet trailer and get ready for tonight's chapter of the Fables of Gahlia. Still getting our counts down.
I started counting too soon. I'm sorry.
New channel, guys. It's just bumps.
It's just how long the ooh.
The fact that one started twice.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay.
One.
Anyway, last time on Fables of Gahlia, a lot. You guys had been separated on both sides of the second gate in Vagaden. And so where the Spooky Sisters went off to go and explore further towards the third gate, the rest of you returned to Plan A and went back to retrieve your medallions, which were enchanted by Midas, and you were extremely impressed by the level of skill that was applied to it. You guys went back to the second gate and put forward your intentions. Some of you truthfully, some of you deceptively, but nevertheless, you all made it through. Some of you slightly unaware of presences that were still following you. But nevertheless, you made it through and found your ways back to the Spooky Sisters, received your gifts of silken scarves, and then proceeded to plead your case at the third gate, realizing that this one took a little bit more to get through than just what did I miss?
He's wearing a scarf.
Wearing a green scarf.
That's so cute.
I didn't even notice. There you go. Rent, ladies and gentlemen. Realizing that it was going to take a little bit more to make it through the third gate in order to be in the presence of the High Priestess, you quickly realized that the curse that you had broken in Fengard was the key to entry. And upon saying the words that you had broken the curse, you were let in under tight guard, leaving your weapons with them. You were brought into the main hall of the temple, which quickly became the Wolf's Lair. You met the High Priestess, Freya, and from there you were invited into the Great Hall, which you sat, and she recanted the curse that befell the chieftain Magnus and his close warriors, the Ulfhedin. Curious to see what sort of feral form they were cursed to be left in, you made your way over to the catacombs just for a peek. Throwing a torch into the opening that was made by a guard and lost, and Kaya, you were met with bright yellow eyes and the glint of pearl teeth as something started rushing towards you up the stairs. You quickly saw that it was a wolven man, and at that time you quickly shoved back the stone, but not before the wolven man was able to claw his way to the surface with one hand, the stone cleaving it from his body and leaving it sat twitching on the floor. And that is where we pick up.
Hi, are you all right?
Yeah. I'm good. The does anybody want this arm?
Yeah, Adeline's gonna take out a handkerchief and kind of daintily grab it by one finger through the handkerchief. Be like, ugh, I feel like perhaps we should study it. Oh god, it's tripping.
As you pick it up, it's still twitching and bleeding from the wrist.
She drops it.
I'll pick it back up again. Maybe I should carry it.
I think so, yes. I will just burn this hanky. Ugh.
No. You should study the hanky. It might have something on it.
Oh. perhaps? Ugh, sure.
This hand couldn't possibly belong to a certain someone of importance, would you think?
I don't know. What do you think, sir?
You asking the god?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're able to distinguish them from each other.
Only by size. There's no real way of determining who is who.
So this probably isn't Magnus's arm.
It could be.
Do they grow back?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Ooh, is it?
That isn't exactly good.
Well, it is if we are able to help them. Then they'll have a.
During the
limbs.
struggles in order to seal them in the catacombs, there were a few dismemberments on both sides.
Oh,
However, when we went back to check and feed and water, no one was missing anything.
Fascinating.
Nothing against your fortified defenses here, but what prevents them from just waiting on the opposite side of the rock when you pull it back?
did he
To
check?
push it up. To push it to the side is a lot easier than to push it directly upwards, especially from the staircase.
Okay. Just checking.
It's a very steep staircase. There's not a lot of purchase there.
Right. Well, I'd love to see this library that you're talking about. I've a lot of questions on my mind, more so now. Kaya, do you mind carrying that thing back so that we can use it as a point of reference?
Sure. I'll just sling it over my shoulder.
Do the limbs vanish after a certain period of time, or do you just have a closet full of skeleton hands?
Band name called it.
Generally, generally not something that we keep.
Right.
Most were burned
Understandable.
for fear of spreading the curse.
Oh, you think this can spread the curse?
I don't know.
I'm holding it away from my body now.
Right, well, let's get this back for study.
Oddly, I kind of think Lily and Rose might be delighted by this.
I think
Possibility.
you're right. That's why I was thinking I would take it back. I mean, you said you wanted to study it, and I'm sure Rose would be fascinated by it.
Are these the two morbid ladies that we left?
Morbid. That is a good
You
word
know,
for it.
I never thought of them as morbid before now, but I see what you're saying.
They do have that air to them. Yes, our friends. They are. And
I just think of them as
morbid matrons.
morbid. That's good. That is good.
what's your name, sir? Guard?
Me?
Yeah,
Gerard.
Gerard. You have a way with words. Gerard.
I just love alliteration.
Can I call you Jerry?
No.
Oh. Okay. I had a friend named Gerard, and I called him Jerry when I was growing up. That's why I was just.
Shall I
Never
show
mind.
you that library?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Yes.
Right. He starts to lead you back towards the main temple entrance. And
You know, Adeline, I'm sure it's fine. It's not gonna transfer the curse. I mean, curses aren't transferred by just holding it, right?
Well,
I'm sure that's what the first few said.
it does depend on the nature of the curse, and I don't think we know enough to really know. But now that you've touched it already, I mean, it's
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure it's fine. I
I'm not, but it will be fine.
well, Rose can cure me of a curse if I get it.
Do you even... I don't know if I should be the one that asks this question, but are you even capable of taking on their attributes?
Oh,
Hmm.
I was going to ask if you can grow hair, but...
I've got a beard.
Oh, yeah, right?
I would look a little funny.
yes, God, imagine.
A werewolf dragonborn that's not born from eggs.
A were-dragon. Oh my goodness. What a thing that would be.
But it is a curse. Let's not try it out.
Yes, it's not cool at all.
no, this is very, very serious. and
Yes, totally serious. Gerard and Adeline's writing were-dragon and drawing a little doodle in her book.
Make a stealth check.
Oh, okay. That's a 21.
He looks over and says, "What are you doing?"
I am a note taker. It is just in my nature to
No,
take...
you are making some kind of drawing,
Yeah, it's a diagram.
some kind of caricature.
It's a... I drew a white dragon, okay? It's... Don't you think it's kind of a good likeness? You think I should add more teeth?
He leans closer and says, "It's very good."
Oh, thank you so much. I like this guy.
And he continues.
Just don't call him Jerry.
He didn't like that. So you are taken up the steps, past the statue of Fenris and into the wolf's den. Would you like to pick up your friends at the Great Hall first?
Oh, yes, please. I think we should all kind of discuss what to do next.
Right.
Our personal effects, are those to be returned to us at any point?
Shortly.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, we would like to see the others, the morbid matrons. As you
Yes. And so he leads you towards the door. But before we go through the door, the morbid matrons, the spooky sisters, is there anything that you would have
So
liked
much
to have been
alliteration.
talking with? What?
So much alliteration.
I know, my favorite.
Wouldn't they be morbid maidens, though?
That is true.
I suppose when
Yeah.
when they ascend, maybe they can be matrons.
When we ascend.
Got
And
it.
then you'll be the creepy crones later.
Makes notes. Creepy crones. Anyway,
Those are the three things of Eastus, right? You got the.
Mother Maiden Crone.
is there anything that you wanted to do during your time where the others went to go and investigate?
Were we just left by ourselves?
No, I think we stayed with the priestess.
Oh, so she's still there. Okay.
Frey's
that
there.
makes-
Yep.
That makes more sense. Freya, we would need to, or your priestess, mistress, ma'am, we would need to maybe do a little more research.
Are you talking about books and such?
Possibly. Just to be the most prepared when we go to heal and release the curse. In order to maybe not continue to spread it, we don't want to make any false moves.
I appreciate that. Yes, our librarian, Mordecai, should be able to guide you through the libraries.
And I mean, I would assume that there's already been a lot of research done on this and curses and the such. So anything that he's already found would be useful as well.
You can ask, he will tell.
All right. And I only ask this because I feel like I need to. Do we know that the hag is dead?
I feel very strongly about the prowess of my husband, but I will be candid with you. I feel like some sort of trickery may have been used in order to bestow this.
Yes. That's what I was afraid of.
My
Well,
husband is very useful on the battlefield, but can be headstrong. Honestly, sometimes completely oafish. You know how men are.
I really don't, but I believe you.
No.
Oh. I see you are not experienced with men.
No.
Or
I-
anything, really.
Yeah, really. This is like the first time we've ever left home. We grew up in a temple with women.
I can relate to this. You have a purity about you.
Thank you. And as do you.
I don't know anything else. I think this is why my men and myself, we trust you. Your intentions seem pure. But I must ask, and at that point, the rest of the party enters the Great Hall, and you view once again the long, very old timber table that's missing pieces, just little chips and gnarls, and it's kind of darkened from use. and like the oil from people's skin and things sitting in it. The brazier sits at the back, igniting most of, well, not igniting, lighting most of the room. Yeah, everyone notices it's suddenly on fire. The large rafters going across the ceiling, and once again, it's like you're kind of transported back a long time through entering through those doors. And you see in the same seat at the head of the table, Freya with the spooky sisters nearby.
I brought you something, Rose.
All right.
So when we opened the stone, werewolf kind of looking dude tried to come up out and reached for us, and so
What?
Kaya, tact. We spoke of this.
Okay, so one of the creatures, one of the people.
Creatures, what is this you speak of?
Never mind.
Oh wait, I don't have magic.
Yes, well, we were able to observe the afflicted very briefly.
What is this you carry?
I will get up from my seat and walk over and kind of position myself between Kaya and the priestess.
You know, I think Gerard could have given me a heads up.
And quickly,
Oh,
the chair
giving you a hand,
is thrown
perhaps.
back. And at that point, you realize that Gerard did warn you that was the reason that they had not shown
That's
her.
right. He did say that on the way down there.
Yeah.
And she starts walking towards Kaya with extreme intent on her face.
Before she gets there, I want to do an Eyes of the Grave while I'm looking at it to see if I can, like, is this undead? Is this, like, what is this?
The eyes of Eastus spread through the room, and that gold sonar emits from you only to your vision. You don't see anything undead.
Okay, so Your Highness, I would like to apologize. I shouldn't have brought this up here, but I feel like you deserve to know something. And so the curse that they are under has made them look different and given them different abilities and strength. And probably a hunger as well. They're very animalistic.
It
But-
has changed? What are you saying? Stop speaking in riddles.
They're turned into a wolf-like creature, but they're humanoid, like wolf-like.
I will look at the whatever he's holding, because at this point I still don't know. But not
what-
touch it.
So what you see is almost like a grayish blue clawed hand, very large, elongated fingers with fingernails that almost come out like curled claws away from the hand itself. It is crushed at the wrist, like almost to a point from the impact of the stone severing it. It was not a clean cut. There are fractured bones and things below it. A lot of blood around the wrist. It's not currently bleeding from the walk, but that's what you see.
This is the hand of one of them, but I'm led to believe that the appendages grow back on them whenever they are somehow lost by the afflicted. So they grow back,
Yes.
but
The good
But
news.
I want to say I understand why they didn't take you to see them, because it is certainly a shock. But that's why we're here, right?
I am a grown woman. I am High Priestess of this city. I do not deserve to be kept in the dark.
That's not for me to decide.
I think there's a little bit more to it than just a hand, madam. We're not exactly sure if having this could potentially cause it to spread. So we will take it elsewhere to study it and hopefully find out more information.
Take it to Mordecai.
Mordecai.
Who's Mordecai?
He's the librarian for the Great Library.
Okay. Well, I think we were headed there next anyway.
Yes, fantastic.
I must speak with some of my men.
Can we get drawn? Fired.
I am sorry for any stress I may have caused.
Do not be sorry for telling me the truth.
I have a tendency to do that, even when probably it's not the most tactful thing to do.
Tact aside, purity is what got you here. Do not lose it.
Thank you.
Rose, before I leave, what brought you here?
Well, you see, I really wanted to talk to you about that, but you have so much going on with everything else.
We can speak. You meet with Mordecai. I will meet with my men. We can speak later.
Sure. And I'll kind of quietly speak to her. So far, I've learned that men are headstrong, and they keep secrets from women.
You are not wrong. But they do mean well most of the time.
All right.
What you will notice is that a lot of them think that their strength is greater than ours. And they are wrong.
I love her.
Well, when our strength comes from the divine within us, nothing will stop us.
Yes. Trust in the divine, but also trust in your femininity.
That's almost like something Eastis herself would say.
Well, I don't know about that, but I have business to take care of.
As do we.
I have to apparently remind people who I am. Thank you again. Kaya, was it? You're speaking very quietly.
Yes, High Priestess.
I moved away from you, so.
Yes. I'm sorry. I was turned away. I'm back now.
Thank you for enlightening me.
You're welcome, but I just don't be too hard on your men. They owe you the truth, but they just want to protect you and keep you safe because right now you're the most important. You're the most important thing in the whole realm.
She turns to Rose and says, "You see this?"
I do.
She rolls her eyes and says, "Thank you," and takes her leave through the great hall doors. Leaves you to yourselves for a moment. Is there anything that you guys would like to talk about?
I like her. I'm scared of her, but I really like her. It's like a cool. I think I like her because I'm scared of her.
Yeah.
I'm discovering a lot about myself.
Are you scared of her because if she finds out how you really got in here?
Oh, let's not talk about that ever, Kaya. Like ever.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that's not a good idea for sure. Not a good idea.
Yeah, this look right now, I have to keep this up the entire time that we're here. Because I have entered this place under false pretenses and they are very much against that. And honestly, I'm starting to feel really guilty about it because I'm starting to really dig her whole vibe. Yeah.
That does remind us that we are on still on a time clock, right? These amulets, they expire.
Well, it's not like... Well, yes.
We're supposed to spend the night here tonight. Oh my.
It's not like we need them to get back out, do we? I mean, right.
Did you see how we got in? I would not put any eggs in that basket, my dear.
Yeah, that's true. Well...
But she did say that we have freedom of... Was it the temple? We can go anywhere we want and come and go as we please?
Yeah.
Yes, like the items here at our disposal, yada yada.
Yeah, but I think that when she said that, we can leave and come back, and we don't need to go through the whole ceremonial
I do.
shiny medallion
No,
again.
She meant leave the temple.
I believe we're here now
Right.
until we are done helping them.
I'm a
What
bit
if-
dubious about this library of theirs. If we're trying to solve an arcane curse, and we're in a place that frowns upon the arcane, I don't believe we'll find many resources that are
It could be a divine curse.
From a hag.
Well, they might have divine magic. Just because it's evil doesn't mean it's not divine.
People have been conflating arcane and divine for years. It's all very much the same.
I don't know a whole lot about magic. I'm just saying.
Perhaps this Mordecai? Mordecai, there we go.
Is it
Someone
Mordecai?
took notes.
Is it Mordekainen? I think
I
he
don't
wrote
know,
a
it's
book.
Mordecai. It's Mordecai.
Mordekainen definitely wrote a book.
Definitely not Mordecai.
That would be Mordecai, but Mordecai is
Is it?
waiting in the library.
Yes.
Mordecai! Well,
He might know something else.
Also, to your point about the arcane in this library, I learned about many things in the library, at home, in the temple. It wasn't just divine.
well, that's good.
I mean, my parents, one was a sorcerer.
Were they as strict about the arcane where you are from?
Not really,
No, well,
but just because we're in a temple doesn't mean that they won't have information.
it's true. And I do think there is much to be gleaned from, studying different religions. People believe things for reasons. Usually it's explanations for completely natural circumstances, but that's a different soapbox. My mother was a scholar of different religions and all that, so I'm quite used to hearing these stories.
Are you saying that you don't believe in divine magic?
I mean, I think that people believe that some magic is divine, but to say I believe in these beings who have some kind of sway over the way the world works, I think that that's a little... No, I don't.
Well, we accept all kinds in the army of fate.
I can assure you, though, Eastus is real.
I'm sure there is a figure.
He believes in you if you don't believe in him. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here with us.
Huh?
Huh?
Eastus is feminine.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
Right.
I don't know what I'm
So,
thinking.
Lily's gonna look at Rose and she's gonna be like, men.
Apparently.
And then I'm gonna whisper, did my eyes roll?
Yes.
Cool.
Lily, make a dexterity check.
Oh god.
Oh,
I
no.
couldn't fall out. Ooh, I'm gonna use my brand new Norse Foundry Opalite dice.
Ooh.
Okay, that's good. What's my modifier? Just a straight dex check or a saving dex? Dex saving throw.
No, just a check.
15.
15? Okay. Yeah, so you're gonna roll your eyes and one kind of gets stuck a little bit, but then it quickly catches up with the other
Okay,
one.
cool. I did it. Just try to imagine it. It's so perfect.
To the library?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we know where we're going? Did we?
Not even a little bit.
All right.
Gerard?
It's Gerard still up there.
At
Or
that
is he
moment,
giving
you
it Gahlia?
hear through the door muffled screams. Not screams in like a freaked out kind of way, but very strong and loud feminine voice
Hell yeah.
booming through. You can't make out the words through the closed great hall doors and the distance and the fact that it would echo so hard. But you hear what you can only imagine is one of the biggest dressing downs that you've heard in most of your lives.
Probably
And then
my
a period
whole life.
a period of silence, and then very meekly the single door opens and Gerard steps through. I was informed that you were ready to visit the library.
Yes.
Yes, please.
If it suits you, I will show you the way.
Yes, please.
Roz is gonna like push on Kaya's arm. Say something.
I'm about to, Roz.
Okay.
Gerard,
Yeah.
I owe you an apology. Because
No, you don't.
I do. You warned us beforehand that y'all were protecting her from the knowledge of what happened down there, and I opened my big mouth.
Yes, but it was my own actions and decisions that offended the priestess, so.
Kaya, the way I see it is there was deception afoot, and you were the one who brought it to light.
Indeed.
Yes, but maybe we should have given him his own opportunity to come clean.
I will add that a heads up would have been nice.
You
Right,
won't
it-
get that.
I mean, you probably had many opportunities to tell her about everything, so it seems like you weren't going to take that opportunity. So,
And we
Hi,
are
that's
all
okay.
very against deception. All of us.
I've never deceived.
Hate it.
Both of you make deception checks.
Perception?
Deception.
Deception? I will gladly make a deception.
16.
22.
Damn.
He looks up and says, yes, I believe both of you, as you have shown your purity to the High Priestess. Anyway, I will show you to the library if it suits. And he starts to lead you to the side door from the Great Hall, where he opens up smaller double doors. It's not like the entrance to the Great Hall, but smaller double doors that open up into a stone hallway. And he takes you guys down several corridors, turning left again, right, straight on, and you're realizing that this place is a lot bigger than the front end of the temple makes it seem.
It's bigger on the inside.
Maybe not so, but it must extend quite far back.
I just see it.
It's not a wizard's tell. And so he navigates along the hallways and brings you to another door. Large, thick wooden door, again with metal braces going across the side, and a large metal handle come knocker. And he tilts it to the side. Oh, that was really loud. I hit the mic. Sorry, guys. And then pulls it back as it slides across the stone. You guys are met with a large, very dark room with rows and rows of books going as far as you can see in this dark room. The shelves extend almost to the ceiling, and you notice that there are ladders, not like in the other library that you went to in the upper echelon, but they're not ladders nonetheless. They have to be propped up. They don't wheel around. They're not fancy, but they serve a purpose. And straight in front of you is a man who seems in his late 20s, early 30s. Short black hair. He has a large cloak over him. Cloak or robes, you can't really tell because he's just kind of flickering in and out of vision for those of you that don't have dark vision. Those of you do can see that they are robes that are held together in the center, large bell sleeves that are tied with a just a simple rope tie around the center. Clean shaven face, and he walks out and lifts his eyes, and as he opens them you see that they are completely milked over. And he says, "Oh, good evening. I am Mordecai. How can I be of service to you?" And that's where we're going to take our break. So we're just going to break for a quick 10 minutes, and then we'll be back because I have a feeling that this bit is going to go for a little while. So this seemed like a good opportunity to take it. So please do stick around. We will be back in 10 minutes. with the rest of the story and a little bit more on Mordecai. So see you soon, guys. Thank you. skinny Goliath. Anyway,
Why?
welcome back, guys. Just before we left off, you guys had been brought into the library, and a younger man in his late 20s, early 30s had walked out of the shadows of the very low lit library to greet you as Mordecai opens his eyes, approaching you, and you see that they are completely milked over.
Adeline is just taking the deepest breath in possible, just soaking in the smell of all these old books and just like visibly giddy.
Oh, and it's the smell of the old pages just fills your nostrils, and you can smell like the leather bindings and the wood that comes from the actual, like the treated shelving and the tables and desks that scatter the area around you, but also just that fine hint of must that's there, just a little layer of moisture that's just always there.
Delicious.
I'm gonna wave to him.
Hello.
Hello.
We were hoping to do some research.
Well, you've come to the right place.
The High Priestess told me to give this to you.
And he holds out his hands.
Here you go. Well, are you blind?
Kaya, you can't just ask people if they're blind.
I was not gifted sight.
Well, how do you see all the books?
See that. I was gifted a sight.
That's really neat. So here's this.
And it falls into his hands.
It's a werewolf hand.
You keep saying this word werewolf. Are you certain that you know what that is?
Well,
make a history check. As Mordecai carries the large paw off to one of the nearby tables and places it down.
14.
14. Okay, so you know of like the fable of a lycanthrope, that there are people who are afflicted with a condition that they turn in and out of an animal form. Most of the tales talk about wolves.
So when I was growing up, my sister used to try to scare me with stories sometimes. And she was telling me about these werewolves. And then she said they were just like normal people. And then sometimes they would turn into like wolf-like creatures. And that's kind of just what I thought these things are. It seems like that's what they are. That's why I was... You remember when we... Yeah.
So was it a curse in your story as well?
But she said it was a curse. They were cursed with lichen something. She just said they were werewolves.
All right. I want to walk over to the table that he put the arm, and I want to like medical check it.
You know, honestly, I didn't believe they were real until I saw what I saw earlier.
What are you trying to discern, Rose?
Well, maybe it's I want to know how much of this is actually still like human, or is there something else completely in place of the person? Like, I'm looking for traces of, I don't know, like maybe where tissue hasn't transformed. I'm not getting a microscope out, but like trying to really like take a look at it. Like,
Okay, so you're
is it
looking
like
for,
a virus
traces
that-
of humanity in it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let you make a medicine check for that, given that it's a severed hand.
Okay, so that's a 25.
25. Okay.
Yeah.
So what you do see is from kind of looking over Mordecai's shoulder as he's beginning to study it, although his eyes never really truly meet the paw itself.
When he's doing that, what is he doing? Is he like holding his hand over it? Is he like, what is he?
He's got one hand either side and he's just kind of gazing, but it's just below where his eyes would see.
I want to look at that as well because I'm very intrigued.
Okay, got it.
But I'm definitely taking a look at the arm. Sorry, I was
Yep.
distracted.
So with a 25 medicine check, so you do see that the general form, like if you take away the sort of the grayish skin and the sort of dark thin layer of hair that is kind of coating the back of the hand, if you take that back, it is human looking, and like the bone structure that's poking out at the bottom of the, like just below the crushed wrist, does resemble humanoid bone structure.
Okay. Gonna try something. Mordecai, do you mind if I use some divine magic on this arm?
Oh no, feel free.
And I will use lesser restoration on the arm in trying to remove, let's see, whatever condition is afflicting it.
Okay. So as you cast this spell in order to try and remove the affliction of the curse, you see almost like this gold dust kind of transfer from your hand and just sprinkle onto the hand itself, but then it pulls back to your hand and it remains exactly the same. Did you expect it to change in a way?
I was hoping it would.
Well, that's one thing that we can chalk up to not working. That's not a bad thing.
Right. One less thing up my sleeve, though.
Your library, does it have
Leave.
any extensive documentation of curses, specifically hags?
And he starts like scanning down the hallways as if trying to remember the route to get to the area. Yes, we have some books on folklore. Some of it includes fae. Straight down to the partition, take a left, not the first, second, but the third right, and the shelves on the right-hand side.
All right, and she skips off happily.
Mordecai, I assume you've done some research on this whole matter that has occurred with the curse and the hag and the afflicted.
Yes, I've done some. Although this is the first specimen that I have been in the presence of that has not been on fire.
Fire. Does that work?
It burns.
Right, but the goal isn't to kill them.
Rose, so I think what he's saying is Gerard told us that when they accidentally or maybe on purpose chopped off their arms or legs or appendages, limbs of the afflicted, that they would burn them. I guess because they didn't want to spread it, so that's why he's only been able to look at limbs that were on fire. That's what Gerard said.
Oh.
But see, this is a pretty unique experience. Special occasion.
Has there been a spread of the curse at all?
None that we know of. It is concealed to the catacombs beneath the reliquary.
So the ones that are down there, all those, were they the ones that were there when they killed the hag? There's no one else that's ever been spread. It was only the people that were there when they killed the hag.
The ones that returned, yes.
And the other ones died.
They did not return.
I was thinking about it. When we were fighting the creature, the fey creature, in the woods across the river, once the source of the issue was removed, then everyone who was sick got better.
Sounds like a curse to me.
Right.
Was that a demon?
No.
What was that? It was just a giant frog thing.
Was it a demon? I don't remember. It was?
You didn't know?
Okay, I didn't know. I was rather close to it, just asking.
I was inside of it.
Yep. I don't know if it was a demon.
Lily, do you know if it was a demon from the inside?
No, I was dead.
Oh.
Adeline comes back with just a tower of books and is gonna
start swaying from side to side.
and set them on a table and kind of start sorting through them. Oh, another interesting thing, Mordecai. The limbs, once they are removed, the creatures, they regenerate them. Have you heard of anything like that?
Mainly just them.
Right.
Would there be any kind of books on something like that? Any maybe medical books?
Limb regeneration?
Yes?
I mean, it's been accomplished by High Priestesses before. That's in the records.
Interesting.
Mordecai, have any of these creatures successfully been slain at all?
No, that wasn't the aim.
Of course.
The aim was containment until we could discover the cure.
Perhaps a part of the curse is that they cannot die, that they must keep regenerating and living this kind of half-life. Do you think?
You go to very dark places very quickly, don't you?
Yes.
But it makes
Valid,
sense.
though. Valid in the interest of research. I would not know that much.
It would ensure that the curse would continue.
It is true. Although now we have this kind of gestures towards the table.
Yeah.
We can research and experiment to an extent, I suppose. To see if there's anything that can aid us in our aims.
It is pretty cool that they can regenerate. That's not terrible.
No, if we were able to control that, you think how strong the Ulfhedian would be.
So maybe that's another way we can look at it.
Yes, although they're less useful for the priestess in their current state.
With them wanting to kill everyone.
Yes, mainly that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we could curb that bloodthirst.
Tame them?
Do you think she would want her?
Yeah, like we tamed the horses.
I'm not sure if she would want her husband to remain so beastly. But
I don't
maybe,
know.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to, you know.
I would not speak on her behalf.
Yes, of course. Oh, I wouldn't dream of it.
Gerard said we couldn't tell them apart anyway, so it would be like just guessing.
Well, I think the idea is to get them all back to their
right.
original state.
It's a good idea.
That would be the main aim. Yes.
Do I have any knowledge on wolves in general? Like packs, alpha, all that stuff. Like, do I know any kind of like if we were to study all of them together, would behavior be similar to like a real wolf pack? That's kind of what I'm asking.
Okay. You didn't really see them.
I didn't see anything.
Well, that's right. You weren't there. But if you want to make a nature check for like wolves,
Okay.
make a wolf check.
Wolf check.
That band.
No.
No. It's 5. Might be the lowest I've ever rolled.
I mean, they're kind of like big dogs.
Right. Okay.
As they're talking and as Adeline is kind of opening books and setting them up on the table, she's gonna slip out her tome and kind of set it on top and kind of quietly start doing a detect magic ritual. While.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
Do I see that?
starts. What's that? 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I see that?
Looking for it.
So you're trying to withhold it, like to.
Yeah, it
Got
just
it.
looks like I'm like stacking, like I kind of subtly put my book up and it's just kind of looks like I'm leafing through the pages.
Okay. Make a sleight of hand and make a perception.
Well,
Do you do it? Do you do it?
Again? With your
It's a
new
nat
Norse
20.
Foundry dice?
It's a nat 20, so
Oh my
it's
God.
a 28.
Oh my god.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
I see everything.
If I get a nat 20, mine's a 30.
Okay.
No.
At level 5.
Lily sees the future.
I see dead
How the hell? My
Yes.
fine. It's fine.
So what did you roll? Sleight of hand?
12.
Yeah, you see it.
Mordecai, is there a list of how many individuals were afflicted with this curse?
Members
their
of the
names?
Ulf, members of the Ulfhedin. The names are protected for reasons, but
Even from yourself?
yes, I don't need to know.
I mean, these are much different circumstances. It's not like...
But if we
What
are
if
to
there's-
return them back to their original form, then their identities would be known.
Isn't there magic for that or something?
For what?
To forget? I don't know. Or just not telling anyone, also. So
That seems rather deceptive.
perhaps, but isn't it just as equally a disservice if knowing their names and finding a connection based on who the curse could afflict is doing them poorly?
The
But
curse
if it
has...
only affects Wolfhedden and other members, and everyone else is immune.
Well, I think it just affected the ones that were there that didn't die.
So the members that are down there in that state were all with Magnus.
Yes, he took his team with him.
Hmm.
There were 10. 7 returned. And Magnus.
So there's 8 down there now, including Magnus, or there's 7 including Magnus.
8, including Magnus. The 3 Ulfhedin did not make it back.
Mordecai, do you have your own theories?
I personally believe that the hag was not slain. That she performed some kind of illusion in order to lure them out. And then, before taking her leave, she was able to bestow not only a curse on the land surrounding, but also one upon the men who tried to slay her.
That is what I'm leaning more towards as
We-
far as the cause.
That makes sense since the curse is still around. If you kill the thing that causes the curse and it's supposed to go away,
Is it?
Not necessarily. She cursed the land. Well, I don't know if that's how all curses last, but should we
It's a starting point.
kill the
Would
hag?
would we know
Well-
that? DM, would I have knowledge of how curses work and all that stuff?
I mean, in general,
I
would
can
make
bestow
sense.
curses.
So can I.
you can.
Yeah, it would. In general, it would make sense for you guys to know about curses and the removal of. You know, there would have been several nobles that would have made their pilgrimage to you in your time growing up, in order to have or plead for Eastus to remove curses, or what they believe to be curses. So you know that they can be removed, although it takes high-level magic in some cases. Other cases, it's a lot easier. But yeah, generally, like once the bestower is slain, that would be your experience, especially being around that cursed area as well.
So where do you think she is if she's not dead?
I mean, she could be long gone. Just because you bestow a curse doesn't mean you have to stick around.
She may be linked still. Somehow.
Maybe. So, Mordecai, when did all this happen? A few weeks ago?
Several weeks, yes.
And according to Gerard, it continues to get worse. The affliction, that is.
That is unfortunately true, yes. Whereas they seemed more carnal and feral initially, it has taken on a more serious form the longer the time has passed.
And one could potentially, we may be working against a clock to where at some point it's no longer removable.
That would be anyone's guess, but at this point, but I would not delay in our attempts and our research. So
we need to go find the hag.
Where do we start? They could be anywhere.
Where were they at when they battled her?
Where we battled the frog.
Is it the same place?
That's
outside of Fengard, yes.
Mordecai, when did their symptoms initially get the worst? Were they already back here in the temple?
They took on a fever initially. Were very weakened. Mainly Magnus initially, but then his men started falling not long after they returned.
Mainly Magnus?
Magnus was the first afflicted.
He could be the source.
The Ulfhedin were the ones who carried him home before they too started to fall.
In theory, you could remove the curse from him and it potentially could remove the curse from the others.
Potentially.
Why did the hag initially pick that town, village, of all places? I mean, she should have known, I'm assuming it's a her, should have known that it was protected by Fenris, and that their people would come for them.
Fengard exists slightly outside of Ulfgate, but the people originated from here, and so they carry some of our practices.
Why did they move? Why did they move out of the realm?
I wasn't alive back then, but one can only imagine that opportunity, trade, the growth, people travel. Not everyone stays within the protected gates of Ulfgate.
It wasn't a punishment or anything, was it?
No.
Okay. I mean, I know they're looked upon kindly because Otherwise, Magnus and his men wouldn't have gone over there in the first place to try to free them from the hag or whatever.
Your logic is sound.
Before
My concerns of all of this. If the hag's intent was to be here, they've pretty much brought it through the gates that are nearly impossible to get through.
That is what I was afraid of as well.
Great point.
Indeed.
Before Magnus held the esteemed position he does now, a few weeks before now, what did he do?
He
Make it-
himself was leader of the Ulfhedin.
Always.
Well, not always. He was a boy once.
Well, I imagine as, any force, Ulfhedin, non-withstanding, would make enemies of some.
Ulfgate has been fairly closed off for a long period of time. We have not necessarily needed the Ulfhedin to enact much other than the occasional breach. But those are fairly quickly dealt with, and those who choose to submit to Fenris are tamed, to use a word that you used earlier. And
Roz-
the rest are handled.
Roz, do you remember what Oleg said about the first High Priestess? Y'all remember that she had to clear something out, settle this place or something?
Oh.
I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
I'm not, DM isn't sure what you...
Well, I thought he was telling us that she had to do something and she got power.
Oh,
And-
the,
That
her village was raided by Goliaths.
Oh, okay.
She was protecting them.
Right. I couldn't remember if it was what the
Mhm.
situation was. Okay.
My spell done casting?
Yes, yeah. Just wanted to get to the end of that discussion. But yeah, so as you're kind of absent from this, instantly the sea of kind of blue sparkles that kind of emits that you see from all directions. You see there are several things that light up on your friends, as well as Mordecai's eyes are glowing.
Huh? Is there anything around the hand? Like any kind of thing, any like tether or any kind of thing of itself? Like,
because it's the schools of magic, right?
ooh.
I would say in this case, you don't receive anything.
Okay. Process of elimination.
Correct. Like, quickly read it and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like if it is magical.
You know the school.
Yes. If you sense magic, the aura of you learn at School of Magic, if any. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so I would say that there
So
would
you
be
would
like,
still know. You just if there was no school, then
right,
you
there
don't
there
learn
would
that.
be a faint glow around the hand itself. but it returns no knowledge to your mind as to where this magic originates.
Okay. Well, that is informative in and of itself. It is kind of fascinating itself. What school of magic are his eyes?
They don't return one either.
Okay. Alright, well.
But just give me a quick Arcana check.
Yeah. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay, so I will give you that the general kind of feeling of being around the High Priestess, like that intense aura, is it's felt with Mordecai, but on a much smaller scale.
Okay. Huh.
So you would be able to surmise that this is, divine.
I see. Okay. Could I surmise the same for the hand, or that's a different vibe?
That is a different vibe.
Okay, good to know.
Although it does give very dark and almost a foreboding presence. As you try and read into the magic itself, there's something there, but you can't quite put your finger on it, but you're also not sure if you really want to.
Gotcha. Okay. Ooh.
He didn't want to put her finger on it earlier either.
So, would you like to research? Should we start experimenting? We could see how the hand reacts to different things.
I think that's a great idea.
All
Yes,
right.
I've much reading to get into myself.
Reading, good. What would everyone else like to do? I can point you in different directions for different categories of books and such. Or we can put our collective heads together and start experimenting and seeing what we can do, if anything.
I can kind of slightly hit it and inflict acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage on it.
Oh, let's not destroy it.
Well, I don't want to destroy it.
I
I'm
have
just
5
saying-
fingers to experiment with. Just kidding.
Let's use a more delicate touch.
Idea.
Okay.
Mordecai has great ideas.
Adeline, do you need assistance reading any of those books?
Gosh, yes, if you want to help, I've picked out quite a few. Anything that I thought could do with hags or curses. A lot of it does seem to be folklore, as Mordecai said. But maybe there's usually something to be gleaned from any belief system, any fable. They're all founded in some kind of truth.
All right. Roz will go over and start looking through the books, but purposely looking for information about hags that kind of like transfer any portion of their abilities over to another target for an extended period of time. That's like what he's looking for.
Okay. All right. Adeline, what are you looking for?
Curses that specifically have to do with transformations.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of thing, and kind of any like Baba Yaga type figures, any like old haggy kind of anything like that, any stories like that, like even if they are super like folklore-y, she wants to take notes on that.
Okay, cool.
And I forgot to check, is the entire library dark? Or is there like...
It's very dimly lit.
Okay. Like, can Kaya see anything?
Kai can kind of see for maybe like 10 feet in front of him before it starts getting dim.
Okay.
Oh.
I just don't want to leave my boy like blind.
So
Well, I was,
Yes, dear.
well, one moment. Kaya, are you able to see here?
not very well.
Well, come here, and I'll touch the scarf around your neck, and I'll cast light on it.
Oh, that is so cool. Thank you.
And now you can see a bit more.
That is really neat.
Yeah, so as it starts to cast up and outwards, your scarf glows brightly and you can see 30 feet all around you as if it was daylight.
This is amazing. Thank you so much,
You're
Rose.
welcome. Now you can do a little research too.
Yeah, I have an idea. So I'm going to walk up to Mordecai and I'm going to whisper in his ear and I'm going to say, do you have any books on how to understand social cues?
Not to the best of my knowledge, which is fairly extensive for this library. I don't really. That's kind of something that you learn growing up, like logic and common sense. That's kind of in those formative years.
Yeah. So I feel like I have logic and common sense. It's just sometimes I don't get the social cues.
Well, that's all right. Other people have the same issues, but often when it comes to weaknesses in those areas, you are gifted with strengths in others.
I'll just have to practice. Okay, thank you.
Don't look at it as a weakness. Look at it as a differing skill set.
Okay. So
Yes?
I'm a monk and
Oh,
I was wondering, are there any books on monks that serve the wolf god Fenris?
Fenris.
Yes.
I think there are some small books about the practices and the teachings that are bestowed upon those that convert, although they are not adventuring combat monks. They are sworn to life of non-violence.
Oh, well, that's not me.
I figured as much as you were selected for this opportunity to serve Fenris.
I'm excited for this opportunity.
All right.
All
So,
right.
would you like to assist me
Sure.
with your differing skill set?
That sounds wonderful.
Excellent. And what of you, young sir?
Oh, I am just looking through. Actually, do you leave all the books here?
Yes, I don't take them anywhere.
Does anyone else ever take any books out?
I've never seen them.
So they haven't directly said to you that you're taking this book.
No one has taken any books.
Okay.
It was a blind joke.
I know. I try to avoid those. Do you, do you know if you have any books on the knowledge god?
Oh, I get it. He
Oh, Kyle.
because he's
Yes. Also, yes. The books on deities would be, and he just describes, like, again, another sort of sloping way to go and get books on deities.
Okay. He'll get up and go look.
Sure. And of you, sisters. Well, he doesn't know your sisters. Of you, young ladies, who are not currently reading.
I'm gonna quietly to Lily say in Infernal. We should ask him about the Copper Skull and maybe see if there's information here.
Yes.
All right.
You ask.
Okay. I would like to assist you with whatever you're doing. I do have some medical knowledge. With the hand and all that. And I have some knowledge of curses as well. My sister would like to look for anything about I don't even know how to. Do you have any information on a copper skull?
That's a very specific ask.
Yes, it is.
Is anyone else doing relevant research? It's fine. It's fine.
A giant skull dripping with copper.
No,
Do you know anything about that?
I do not. What is this concerning?
You look concerned. Why?
Well, it's a skull dripping. I'm intrigued and concerned.
Well, if you don't know, then, and if you don't have any connection with anything, then we won't bother you with that. We'll just work on researching for this hag.
It's something I should worry about.
I think I might look for some dead people.
Okay. I'll help him.
I would like to see if there are any ghosts wandering around.
Sure. Make a wisdom check.
Um, 18.
18. You're not seeing any spirits right now.
Okay.
So you will help me while the others research. Great. You and you, sir. I didn't get your name.
I'm
I didn't
Kaya.
get anyone's names. You all just
I'm Kaya.
Kaya and
I'm Rose Blackwood.
Rose Black.
Lily Blackwood.
That's my sister.
Any connection to the Blackwood?
Yes.
100, yes. 100% connection to the Blackwood.
Interesting.
Why?
You're from another temple that is fairly closed off. We don't know much about it, but we know of its existence. We have our own pilgrimages that we make.
We had never heard of you before.
Not many have. Oh, you mean like Ulfgate?
Yes.
Not just me. I see.
Never
How
heard of
embarrassing.
you either, though.
You or Ulfgate.
Well, we don't need to rub that in, but Understood.
Who gifted your site?
Fenris.
Of course. That makes sense.
It does.
What can you see with your sight?
A lot more than eyes can see.
Can you see me?
I can, as he's looking in a completely different direction.
I'm looking at my sister like, do you think he knows?
Maybe.
Anyway, if you two would like to assist me, then
What do you need? What do you need me to do, Mordecai?
well, let's go and try a few different things, and then we can see what theories you come up with.
Okay.
And so he starts leading you guys away to bookish ones. Make an investigation check. First, Adeline with advantage for the assistance from
Roz.
I rolled the
yes.
same thing twice. So it will be an 18.
18. Okay. And you were looking for like fey curses and transformation based
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, so there's not a great deal about transformations in particular.
Okay.
But you do learn about a couple of different types of hag. One that stands out to you for the sort of area that you're in, given that you are right next to a river and woodland, is a green hag.
Interesting. Anything about like where they're commonly found within that kind of biome?
Near
Near a
woodland and water.
Okay.
That's what led you there.
Okay. Cool.
You do learn that they are fey.
Okay.
And then that clicks in with the curse, and the reason that you can't pull a school of magic is because it doesn't come from a school,
I got it.
and it's fey in origin.
Okay.
So that's what you get for that. Raz, make an investigation check for your what were you researching, like companions of hags and things?
Originally, I kind of left Adeline to look over all the books, and I went to the deity section to as he started walking back there, it dawns on him that he doesn't really know a lot about deities, so he's going to try and look for a book from Eastus, Fenris, Bahamut, and then Odin, if possible.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say that you would be able to gather all of those in the library.
And it's just a 14 for investigation.
14. Okay, so things that you learn about Eastus. Eastus is sort of an extraplanar goddess. She travels with, like, in between the planes. She doesn't just stay in one level of Celestios. 14. You know that her main objective is to weave fate into the direction that things are meant to happen. You know that she remains neutral in all stances, only aligning with fate itself. And so things aren't good, they're not bad, there's only fate. And reading through that, you're like, I understand a little bit more about the sisters. reading through Odin with a 14. So you learn that he's the deity of knowledge, but also trickery. That way back in the formation of Gahlia, he actually obtained his knowledge from a barter with an old spirit, where he was asked to make a sacrifice for knowledge, and he hanged himself from a tree for 7 days. And that gifted him great knowledge, but also, before leaving the trickery side of him, plucked his own eye from his head and cast it into a pool of foresight, where his eye stays and constantly looks towards the future. And Bahamut is with a 14. No less about this one in particular, other than that he is the great platinum dragon, the god of justice and righteousness. That he lives in an upper level of Celestios, and occasionally takes the form of a human and wanders the material plane, interacting with people. He has a close team of 5 golden dragons in which he uses to extend his will. And Fenris? That was the last one? Okay. So the 14, Fenris. There's not much extra that you learn about him. There's a lot of stories that go into like examples of him sort of enacting his will and things. It confirms the legends of Moradin, having the silken chains of Gleipnir forged in the Titan Forge, which then held him at bay. And then you do find some stories about the pilgrimages that are made by the priestess heiresses. So all that's written there is that they are to get as close to Fenris as humanly possible, to be deemed worthy, and then return.
Out of all of those, Roz will, I guess, monk read to skim that much information, and then bring back the Bahamut book, because he feels Kaya might like it. And then I'll join.
Adeline sees you looking at irrelevant content, is just side-eyeing you like, typical.
Okay. And then I will allow you to make one final investigation check into, was it companions of, what was it? It was something to do with like extensions of hags.
Oh yeah, I was seeing if there was any type of hag that could like put their power or something into another thing for a period of time.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, make an investigation check.
That one is 15.
15. Okay. You don't really find anything about like transferring of power, but what does stand out to you is this one sketch of a large, bloated, frog-like creature with a large mouth and spindly limbs, which kind of takes you aback at first, but then you read underneath that it says it is a banderhob. Usually created by hags. They're usually used to go and obtain people, and so their stomachs are hollowed out. They're just sort of husks inside, and so they swallow up and hold people to bring them back to a hag.
Adeline, this is the thing that we fought while you and Lost were up to extracurricular activities.
Are they? Oh, God, not you two.
And he'll just like turn the book to her and show her.
Oh. Fascinating. Usually in the service of a hag. Look what I found. I think perhaps we're dealing with a green hag. Fae in origin.
Interesting.
Do you know much about Fae magic? I haven't come across much of it at the Institute. We mostly focus on the main schools. Fae is not very understood, I believe. It's strange in nature.
I don't really know much about magic, I'm afraid, but if you believe it's a green hag, that's at least a lead, right?
Yes, we can narrow down where they could be found and perhaps figure out some way of combating this type of magic.
I guess with that lead, he'll kind of like focus attention on just those two topics throughout the rest of the books, if there's any.
Okay. Heading towards the other three, Mordecai kind of takes you down one of his sort of pathways around the books, which he walks fairly quickly and turning abruptly between the aisles and rows of shelves, and he puts the hand down on a desk in front of him, and he says, well, we can see what weaponry does to the whatever it is, the werewolf you said.
The specimen, we can call it for now, because this is no longer.
Specimen is a good word, yes.
It is. It's no longer attached to anyone, and it seems like they'll be growing a new one anyway. So this is for research.
True. We want to be careful with it, not to destroy it, so that we can conduct research.
Correct.
And so he picks up a knife and starts to cut into the center of the palm, and you see he's starting to like draw it across, and then he starts to put more pressure on and kind of leans into it, and only with the body weight of him leaning on the knife does it start to slice through a little bit of the skin. He says, well, it seems their hide is tougher than expected.
Right.
Do you have any ideas?
Could it be the material that the knife is made of? Could it be certain materials would pierce it easier?
I have and he looks around and picks a almost like a bolt, like a practice arrow that's kind of just leaned up against the wall, and takes the sharpened edge and starts pushing it in, and it snaps.
What was that one made of?
Wood.
Okay. Well, wood doesn't pierce his... Okay, well, my weapons were taken from me and the rest of us, so I don't have anything to offer you.
What about this holy water?
Oh, that sounds like a good idea.
You can try. Maybe don't waste a lot of it, but see if there's...
We could do a drop.
Yes, see if it affects it.
I'll put a drop of my holy water from the temple onto the hand.
Okay. Whoop. And you see it fall, and it doesn't cause any damage. It just runs away like a water drop. It was a good attempt.
I have a crowbar.
I think we've already tried that. Well, no, that's iron. I suppose we could use that.
Okay. And I'll pull it out. Should I just tap it?
Well, you may need a little bit more.
And I'll hit it.
You just hit it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So it strikes, but it kind of just bounces back, almost like you've hit something extremely solid, and you feel the vibrations of it.
You know, shouldn't we be, if we assume that the hag is still alive, shouldn't we be trying to figure out how to fight her?
That's not what we were doing. That's what they were researching.
Oh, that's true.
Yes,
Well,
we want to rescue the afflicted as soon as possible.
Right. You know what my sister always told me? And when she was saying all this stuff, I don't think it meant anything because I thought she was just making it up about werewolves. But she said if you shoot them with a silver arrow, like an arrow that has silver on the head.
Then what happens?
I don't know. She said that's what you have to shoot at werewolves to kill them.
Oh, I see.
She was the bow type. That she was the big hunter in our family.
I see.
I mean, I was just a kid, so yeah.
And he scrambles around and kind of pulls out a drawer that has, Rose, you would notice, there's a plate with like half finished food on it. But he pulls the silverware off of the plate and starts to drag it along the same line, and it does start to open the flesh. And he says, seems we're onto something there, but this just causes more damage.
Right.
This may help incapacitate them, but how do we?
I wonder if... Do you have any healing spells or some stronger healings, not spells, potions?
We have access to healing potions. Not many. We would prefer to use them for grievous injury. Should we obtain any of those?
Okay. Hear me out. If we found a potion that would be helpful to them, the afflicted, we could put it in some kind of silver piercing object.
you think that a healing potion is going to cure the curse?
I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out.
I mean, potentially, I am open to many a theory right now. Let's take this back to the rest of the group and let them know of our findings.
Okay.
And so, takes the rest of you back to the main table, where the other two are sifting through books and kind of pointing to each other at different pages and things. And he puts the hand down and says, "Well, we've figured out how to hurt them a little bit more.
Oh,
But that is only maybe a quarter of the battle. The other 3/4 would be returning them back to normal, which we still haven't found what to do about that."
well, we may be able to help with some of that. What is it that hurts it?
Silver, apparently.
Silver. I do believe that this curse is Fey in origin. And so that, I believe, is our next path to try to discover how to deal with. I believe the hag we're dealing with also is a Green Hag. And I may be able to locate whereabout they might be. Based on, the kind of environment they prefer.
Let's go get her.
Did you happen to do any research on animal creature transformation people,
Well, I couldn't
specifically
really,
wolves?
I couldn't really find much specifically related to transformation. Hag curses are kind of span the gambit of, each has their own flavor, I suppose. Ross did find, though, that frog creature that you all fought while I was afflicted with a disease that gave me a fever. He looks very pointedly at Ross. Was called a Banderhob, and it itself was created by a hag. It's all connected.
Okay.
So perhaps we stock up on silvered weaponry then. I mean, if that's what fights against the creatures, but gosh, I wonder if it would work against a hag. If it's the same nature of magic, perhaps.
Is there a limit to the extension of how far you can track a hag, Adeline?
Oh, I'm not sure about tracking her specifically. It's more about the kind of environment that they prefer to. Yes.
Their preferred habitat.
Exactly. Yes.
Where is that?
Near a river in a wooded area. So very much, I
You mean-
think, where we came
Like,
from.
yeah, like we're
Fengar.
Fingar.
Yeah.
Yeah. The river and the wooded area. Yeah, that's where we were. So she's probably still there. We should go ask our friend the hill giant if he's seen her around.
Friend. Yes.
I can't remember his name.
We were friendly. Yeah, I would like to do just a touch more research on Fey magic itself before going to face her, but yes,
Is she vulnerable to fire?
that is yet to be determined. Hopefully
I
that
think
is
most
something
people are.
generally.
It is my experience that most people do burn.
Well, some creatures, it doesn't bother them very much.
That's why I said most.
Roz, I'm known some of your nature to be a bit resistant to the flame.
Oh, yes, like myself, sure. That river doesn't come close to where we are presently, does it?
Mm, not extremely close, maybe 1 to 2 days travel.
It's kind of the border of the realm, right?
That's true, yes.
Mordecai, I can't help but think, what would a hag have to gain by infiltrating into Wolfgate?
That is beyond my realm of knowledge right now.
Because it seems as if she has.
Adeline, did we read correctly that they summon those creatures that eat things? Or have the capability to, at least?
They create them, I think, in a way. So perhaps that was the warning
Lingering?
flare in a bit to then draw out Magnus and his compatriots to then afflict them. If that was the plan and not just, happy accident. But Rose, I think you raise an interesting point. What does a hag have to gain by afflicting those who can so easily penetrate a fortress such as this? It's in a sanctum.
Right. I think I have more questions for the priestess.
And funnily enough, at that moment, the door opens and in walks the priestess. She looks around in the dark, except for the glowing vibrance of
Except for my scarf.
Kaya's scarf, and says, well, what have we found out?
Well,
Do we have a tactic? Is there a plan to help them?
Well, we believe that this is the curse of a hag, and we do not believe that she's been slain. More specifically, a green hag. Do you know anything about a green hag in this area?
Fey monstrosities. I have little knowledge other than what we have defended against. Occasional fey creatures that make it through the veil end up here.
is the veil particularly weak in this area, would you say?
Oh, I don't have specific knowledge to an area in particular of a thin veil between the planes, but
The creatures do come through.
it happens everywhere. Occasionally. Rarely, but still it happens. Some have been here for a very long time, but remain hidden.
Is there something kept here or held here in these gates, in these walls, in this temple that a fey creature would gain to have access to?
To understand the mind of the fey creature is to invite madness upon yourself.
Yet we must understand our enemy as best we can. That is who we are facing.
So,
But
do
my
we
question was, is there something kept here
we have many relics of the past. Without knowing motive, it's hard to discern exactly what they would want.
Well, I was just thinking that if they wanted direct access to the inner circle of your most fortified place, they've gotten it.
The most prized possession that we hold is the fur of Fenris.
And where's that?
And she clasps a small leather cord around her neck that holds just a tight wad of, as you look a little closer, you can see it's bound fur. I hold some of it, the rest is in the reliquary.
Which is directly above where the creatures are being held currently. Yes?
Correct, above the catacombs.
Would
Each of the priestesses carries a lock.
I'd imagine something like that is very powerful. Yes?
Indeed.
powerful whether or not you are trying to wield a divine magic for pure use?
It is physical representation of the god itself.
A god of wonderful things, but also destruction?
Yes. However, he grants many powers and boons for righteousness, for justice, for
Of course.
the way things should be.
And has anyone ever had possession of such a powerful thing and not been in the hands of the divine? Or those who are created to carry the divine?
I'm sorry, your question.
Has anyone other than your line of priestess ever had possession of Fenris fur?
Oh, no. Only a true heiress priestess can make it to Fenris himself without perishing.
In recent memory, can you tell me about these fey creatures that your people have defended against?
They're stories. Never hags that I know of. But other small creatures, large creatures, some with intelligence, others not so much.
Nothing notable.
No, not beyond the occasional odd creature. We've never had a Fey army or anything attack.
Of course, no. But you never know what, you know.
More things that cause mischief and grievance. However, you do jog my mind a little bit. Speaking of the relic,
Yes.
and she takes the cord off of her neck and places it in her palm. Walks over to the hand, looks down at it, looks up with her eyes, and just mutters a few words under her breath. Plucks a hair from the tuft that she keeps wrapped in the cord and places it within the cut wound. And nothing seems to happen. And she bites her lip almost to the point of bleeding. And then you see it. The skin starts to shift in color from gray back to a pinkish hue. The hair starts retracting from the back of the hand. The nails start pulling back. The musculature starts to soften slightly from its sort of mutated form back into more of a regular humanoid visage as it changes back, and then the wound closes around the piece of fur. A human hand lays on the table.
Do I know the words that she muttered? Do I recognize what she said?
You can make a perception check.
Knowing what I know about healing and...
Yeah.
Okay. 26.
26. Okay. So without her actually like saying a lot of the words out loud, it was kind of like under her breath. You do get little bits as you concentrate and try and hear for those like divine words that she utters. And what you do garner is that it was a prayer of pleading. Pleading to return the state to its rightful state, to right wrongs. And in that moment, she I did. And for the first time in all of your interactions with Freya, you see that she is visibly shaken. That she clearly had no idea if that was going to work. It was just thrown out there from you talking about the reliquary and powerful objects and those and what Fenris stands for. And she looks up and says, I think we have our cure.
If
How much
only
further
you
have
would
we
have
got?
if only you would have known that they were like this in the first place, you might have figured this out like weeks ago.
I'm not sure that would have happened, but I thank you for your confidence.
Well, I suppose we have two courses of action. Either we trace the hag and break the curse that way, or heal them how you just did.
Or the other is probably the more preferred one from Magnus's side.
We heal
We
them
heal
to
the
go.
men. And we take him to have his vengeance.
They will know exactly where to go. No guesswork. I like that.
How are we going to administer the Fenris fur to the cursed ones?
You just saw it, Kaya.
Permission to, the priestess.
Yes.
While I do wield a divine magic, and as does my sister mostly, not everyone does, but they are very powerful. Would you allow other magic in this place? We are here to help you, and Eastus saw it and brought us here.
If it is used for the right reasons, righteous reasons, in order to correct what is corrupted in Fenris' name, then I do not see a reason why it cannot happen this way.
Okay. I just don't want us to be in a situation where someone could save us but chooses not to.
Of course.
Thank you.
We have materials. I will, when we are ready, I will take you to the reliquary and I will allow you to take several strands. Enough to return the men.
All right.
Should we rest first, or should we go ahead and do this now?
It is getting late.
And we, after discovering what may be effective in defending ourselves, I think have some modifications perhaps to make to our arms.
Right.
Yes, I have to arrange for... What was it that... And Mordecai cuts it. It was silver. Silver was what was able to cut the wound, so before you placed it within, healed it from the inside out. And she nods and says, Silver. We shall see what we can pull together on short notice, but I would like this scene to post-haste, please.
We know a great blacksmith.
You will need passage through the gates.
We will.
I will see it done.
Thank you.
Well, I must leave again to put things in motion for you. If you need me, you can summon Gerard. But if there's nothing immediate, I will take my leave.
Okay.
Thank you, Curse Breakers. And she turns and takes her leave through the half-open door, leaving you with Mordecai in the library, having just witnessed the potential cure for the Ulfhedin and Magnus. And that's where we're going to end tonight. Yeah, this was a little different than where I thought it would go. You guys have pulled more lore from me. It's cool though. I enjoyed that. Yeah, thank you guys. That was cool. And thank you so much for also being here, right? Thank you so much for sticking around. We have a lot of things coming up. We will not have Legends on Monday because it's Memorial Day. We will not have Gahlia next.
What?
Oh, we are doing. We
We
doing
didn't
Legends?
talk about not doing Legends.
Okay, sorry. Well, that had been thrown around, but okay. We're doing Legends on Monday. We're not doing Gahlia a week today because myself and Betty have tons of work things to do, and so we probably will not be here in time to do anything like this. So next game will be Monday, so be there at 6 p.m. Pacific for that. Other things coming up that we have, all of our sub giveaways, all of the new shows and things that we have lined up. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you are new here and you liked what you saw, please hit the follow button before we go and raid someone.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Who's that's showing up? Long Lost Lore
Yeah.
is up. They've raided us before. Did we go and do that?
I am looking for him right now.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Of course.
Sweet. So jump into Long Lost Lore as we go and raid them. Throw some Swole Initiative emojis and things in the chat. Let them know that we're raiding them. Thank you so much for starting your weekend off the right way with Fables of Gahlia on the Swole Initiative Network. Thank you so much, guys. We will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.